Now what we will do is we will be adding the Upsert view. So let's add that, razor view, and let's add this. For Upsert, for template, we can start with the edit for category since we want to be consistent across the pages. So in category, we have the edit. Let me copy this and we'll paste that in our Upsert. The model that we'll have here is product. So we have the form method here, but inside product, we will be dealing with images. So when we post, we want to use those images as well. Because of which in the form method, make sure that you add multi-part / form data. If you do not add this, your images will not work. So perfect, this looks good. Then we have input for the ID. Now remember, we are using the same page for create as well as update. If this is create, there won't be an ID. So you'll have to add a check here. We will say if model.id is not equal to 0, only then add a hidden property for ID. You can also add here if model.id is not null and if it's not equal to 0. Along with that, the title should also change from edit and create. So for that, right here, we can add a temporary variable. This is a C# code because we have the @ sign, and here we can write our C# code. So we can add a title here. Let's call this create product. Then if the ID is not null and if it's not 0, we can change the title to edit product. And rather than displaying string here, we'll just add title variable. So that way this will dynamically tweak and it will be the title that will be displayed here. Then if we go down, first thing we have the name here. Rather than display order, let me display price. We'll paste it here. We'll copy this and paste it one more time for description. Let me paste it another time for image and drop down. Right here, we need to display the image. Let me just display image here. We don't need any validation. And in input, we can add a type is equal to file. We can also give name is equal to files. I'll also give it an ID of upload box. I'll make it multiple, and we already have the class of form control. So this looks good for our input file. Then we have this for the dropdown. Let me just comment it out for now. After that, we have to deal with the buttons. Now buttons also, it will depend whether this is for create or update. So for that, right here, we can check if, and we'll say if model.id, if this is not null, and if model.id is not equal to 0, that means this is for update. In the else part, this is for create. So I can just copy this or cut this for update, paste it here, and we can make a new copy and add it for create. So for create, along with submit value as create, we'll change this to primary. And here we'll add a JavaScript function. So we'll say on click, we want to add a validation. So we'll say validate input. We have not added this JavaScript function, but we will add that. Now that we have these many things here, I just noticed one error that the model.id will never be null because id is a not nullable field since it's a primary key. So we can change that here as well. And perfect. Let's make our final change inside the underscore layout here and add a new link for product. So right here, we have product. The controller name is the product controller, and we'll just remove this home link. Let me run this and see how things look. If we click on product this time, We have product list, it is empty. Let's hit the create new product. Great, we have name, price, description, and we can choose images right here. So this is looking good. If we pass any ID here, we'll get an error since that product does not exist in the database. Next thing that I want to work here is I want to display in a drop down the category. Let's do that in the next video.